It is 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Sheffield Board of Selectmen to order for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. First item on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes.
I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from December 31st, 2024 and January 6th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing. We'll open a public hearing for the transfer of liquor license application at 650 North Main Street. And I see Kate's in the audience. She's probably here for that.
I am. Kate McCormick for the record, McCormick, Merton, Marcus. I'm joined with my associate Haley Shop. Just wanted to introduce her to you all at the board level. And I'm also here with Michael Smith and Peter Miskowski, who are the applicants and who their information is in front of you on the board application. So my clients are going to be operating under Ponte Restaurant Berkshires, Inc., and they are under contract to buy the business of the Frog. So the current license is held as Sheffield Frog LLC. And the location, as you already advised, was 650 North Main Street in Sheffield. My clients both already have an interest in a liquor license. They hold a liquor license for Gedney Farm. They're the operators of Gedney Farm in New Marlborough, so they're not new to the ABC, but they're obviously new to Sheffield. They run a successful business there and are excited about the opportunity that the Frog will bring to them. So their intent is to purchase the business upon the issuance of the transfer of the license. Their goal is really to keep the business very similar to it is now. If at anything, it would have more limited hours. They're 5 nights a week, 5 to 9, which is Wednesday to Monday. So they'll be closed Tuesday and Thursday. That's correct, right? Tuesday and Thursday closed? No, Wednesday and Thursday, sorry. Wednesday and Thursday closed, 5 nights a week. Didn't sound like that was a good way to go.
I'm confused. When are we open?
Okay.
Sorry.
We are closed on Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
5 nights a week, 5 to 9.
Okay.
Sorry, I really butchered that.
So we're open Friday to Tuesday.
Correct.
And in the summer, it might be 6 nights.
Great.
One night in the summer.
We will be back in front of the board for a common vic license at some point where we can really identify that, but just so you're aware of what we're talking about for the scope of the liquor license. Mm-hmm. The floor plan that you see that's submitted is the exact same floor plan as is permitted now. So we're looking for an exact transfer. Mr. Smith is going to be on premises 35 hours a week. So that is the major details. I'm happy to answer questions. I do have a letter for the board. The original. So basically, there's 2 items that is required for the ABC that you guys do not have in your packet as of now, and that's the tax good standing from the DOR and the compliance from the Department of Unemployment, and those are in the mail as we speak. So we didn't want to, after we published the hearing, we wanted to go forward with the hearing, make sure if you guys had any questions, we can answer those questions. We spoke to the ABC today, and as long as we were fine with any delay that may cause, they had no problem us going forward with the hearing tonight, and it will remove the timeline requirement. So this letter is just to state that if there's any delay caused by those 2 items, that's on us and not the board.
Okay.
So that's the purpose of that letter. So both Peter and Michael are here if you'd like to ask them any specific questions. If you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but it's, that license that's there now is already transferred from the prior, and we're transferred again. So my clients are excited to get it up and operational again.
So are the citizens of Sheffield.
I bet.
Any
You didn't
questions?
include a menu, but other than that, I think you've been very thorough, so we're excited.
No questions?
I don't have any questions.
Questions?
No.
Any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay, with that, I will close the hearing, and I'll accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we transfer the liquor license to, is it Ponte? Restaurant
Yes.
Berkshires, Inc., from the Frog LLC.
And is that pending the DOR and the, or we don't need to say that?
We don't need to say
I don't
that.
think you
Okay.
you
It
just
doesn't
need that
affect our
before you
decision.
move it
All right.
on. And just one small correction, it should be the name of the current license holder is Sheffield Frog LLC.
So, correction made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome to town.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you for Mondays and Tuesdays. There aren't enough restaurants in the areas open on those
I
nights.
cannot wait to be at the bar with my fellow
I know,
neighbors.
yeah, 8 o'clock, our meetings have to end a lot quicker on Mondays.
That's right, that's right.
I live in Sheffield, so there's nothing open anywhere.
Yeah, when I read your application today, we're neighbors.
Oh, yeah?
I'm the first house on the corner when you pull in,
Oh,
on the left.
I'm just back a little.
Nice to meet you, neighbor.
Nice to meet you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, Kate.
welcome.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding digital equity report, and we have Renee Wood here with us tonight to share her information on this very complicated subject.
So why don't I just give you a very brief background, because this has been around for a long time. I think that it's the same program that gave us our ARPA funds, part of the American Recovery Act plan, focused on broadband across the entire United States. And every state got a certain amount of money to implement what they're calling digital equity. Massachusetts got about $164 million, and they chose the Massachusetts Broadband Institute, which has been around for a long time, as the vehicle in the state to implement this at the state level. The digital equity, the purpose of it is to try and make sure that everyone, especially those who are impacted by low incomes or impacted by COVID, socioeconomic factors, etc., have the technology, the broadband speed, and the training or literacy to use devices to access and benefit from broadband. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. This has been the longest grant I have ever worked on. And like ARPA, it's going to end in 2026, all right? I think Bob and Nadine may remember that in December of '22, we were the first town in the Berkshires to apply under this grant. BRPC, you had to work through your own consultant. BRPC had been approved as a consultant, so we went with them. Later, 5 other southern Berkshire communities joined, and the application from BRPC on our behalf to MBI was submitted and finally approved in August of '23. All right. Now, the next event that happened that everybody might remember last June was the bead challenge. There is an issue that the states, it's not unique to Massachusetts, do not know what household has what with regard to service. So they got all the information they could from the vendors. And then we were asked as individual people to sign on to the BEAD website, which I'm sure people remember. You went to the Sheffield map, you went to your home, you answered some questions, and you took a speed test. Now, all that information was gathered, given back to MBI, and to date, we have seen none of it, all right? But the grant moves forward, and we're now in a position that, I should also say that the standard that they want is 100 megabytes of upload speed and 20 megabits of download speed. So where we are now is during this period of time, we applied for and Rhonda signed a grant where Sheffield is going to be getting just over $56,000 to implement digital equity. The thing that, the notes that I had given you, and I've worked very closely with Wiley and with key stakeholders in Sheffield, is the plan to move forward. That has to be submitted and approved by MBI so that we can go forward and tap into that money. So she is hoping to submit her comments on what we've done with the other 5 towns shortly. And we're hoping that the report will be approved by MBI in March. We are meeting, she and I are meeting tomorrow with the senior center on the library, on Thursday, to start looking at, okay, finally, we've got some money, we can get to it, what are we going to do with it? That plan, of course, has to be submitted to MBI. It will come back to the select board for your approval, because you will have to tweak it and sign off on it. In the meantime, we also have a few other things happening. I'm just about finished. Sheffield's 74 identified unserved locations. Verizon has stepped in and received a grant to wire those locations and serve them by the end of 26. They have given no date as to when they're going to do that. And also, there was an affordable, I call the Affordable Computing Act, where people with certain income levels could get broadband for $30 a month. Some of you might remember that. That did not get reauthorized at Congress at the federal level. So there are federal bills and mass bills that are trying to institute something to bring the charges down for certain income people on the cost of broadband. So that was it. When you looked at my report, I always believe that reports, most people don't read beyond the executive summary. So what you saw in some of my first opening comments about spectrum and are we actually getting what we're paying for, as well as are there offerings aligned with the 100 and the 20, which they are not. I've since talked with Wiley because we don't know the results of those data tests. So while we can politely infer that there may be some issues that should be further looked into, we don't have the data to directly say, you're not giving us what we paid for, and you're not lined up. And that is more going to be a federal and a state to line up the offerings. You have to go very high to get that 20 download speed. So what questions may I ask for you?
I don't have any questions.
Oh, or answer for you would be better.
I knew what you meant. Yeah, I went through all of your notes, and I know your working relationship with Wiley, so I knew that whatever you were suggesting, he would discuss with you and feel comfortable having that conversation.
It was very thorough, as you always are.
Yeah.
Which we appreciate, and your hard work is appreciated too. Is there any idea of how this $56,000 is going to be appropriated for what type of programs?
Yeah, we had originally involved, I think some of the churches, I'm not positive, Wiley did a certain amount of work on her own, but we also had involved the school, and there just doesn't seem to be anything coming from the school. I think possibly because they have programs, but we will double check again. From the senior center, I'll know more on Thursday, and from the library, I think what is kind of being envisioned is a series of training programs, and you might have seen something in Wiley's, one of her emails, about a navigator, which is a fancy word for a trainer. Okay, someone to help you navigate that. So again, if we look at the issues, equipment, broadband, and training. I don't think we're going to be able to do much on this middle issue unless there is federal, or I'm more hopeful of Massachusetts legislation. They may share with us at some point what our actual speeds were. I know many of us were way under what we were paying for, but that piece of the puzzle hasn't come our way yet. So we're looking at probably a variety of laptops, computers, phones, and there are programs that have some of those refurbished. There's programs that have some of those new. A ton of programs here, and that will be part of the issue. They also have what I'm going to call less literate devices. I don't need to have my life on my cell phone. Show me how to use a cell phone that does these things. So they say more senior, but as we know, some seniors are extremely literate and others less so. So we're also looking at training. So, and that probably may be either group or one by one. That could be on how to use the device, potentially on particular software programs that people are interested in. If it's a cell phone, you know, how to set up your calendar, how to do this, how to move your phone numbers on, how to sync, all the rest of that. I also see potentially loaning programs. Loaning programs for these different devices, somewhat like the senior center has now, as well as, as the library has now. Senior center might want to get into that. One thing they're stressing is hotspots, potentially over at something like the park, but we looked into that before and found the hotspot is no cost. It's the cost of the annual every month service. So, you know, that's kind of what my previous discussions have led to, but I'm really looking forward to hearing what Kathy and Dina have to say. And anyone else who wants to give me input, I'm open to it.
Question?
You know, I don't know that I have as much a question as a comment, in that it's very disturbing to me that people are getting less service than they're paying for. And in finding that information out from the state or the federal government, I'd like an understanding of how we're being underserved compared to other areas in the state. And I don't know if there's any possibility of that moving forward, but the idea that people are paying for service that they're not getting is unsettling.
Well, I think, you know, I was involved in negotiating the TV contract, the cable contract, which, you know, was finished, I think, in March or whenever it was. There is no contract for broadband. All right, the state has an agency that can, I'm truly not sure. I know they have to approve every contract that we do, but I'm truly not sure what they can do. And I truly do not know if this is systematic across the entire state. All right, but one of the things that we are trying to raise, and if you see somebody when you're at MMA, oh, bring this up. MMA should be on this as far as I'm concerned. You know, are the broadband standards at 120 something that they are focused on, even in the rural areas? But we are doing our best through BRPC, and I think when we get a little bit further down the line, you know, I'll be back with some stuff to have this be raised, and at the state level, because it can only be corrected, in my view, at the state level and probably at the federal level, okay? And I'm not even sure that MBI has been so focused on details. I don't really know what their relationship is with the vendors in our state. And it was kind of a dawning moment for a couple of us to realize, oh my gosh, our spectrum offerings are so out of line with what are supposed to be the standard broadband of 120. So, this stuff dawns slowly. But this is not something, as far as I'm concerned, that's going away. So I will be back.
Is there something you need from us tonight?
I just need to, and you can tell me, to tell Wiley there's no additions. That's it.
Did you have any comments on that?
I was just going to ask you to vote to accept Renee's comments on the report and let her work with Wiley moving forward.
That'd be
together.
perfect. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank you, Renee, because it all sounds overwhelming, and we appreciate it.
It's,
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 4, which is discussion and action regarding Tree City USA application and proclamation. Rhonda, did you want to update us on this?
Sure. So you see this annually, and it's always for the prior year. And this is Tom Ingersoll and the Sheffield Tree Company Association, I guess it is, who work on this. And so what they do is they give a report of things that happen throughout the year and hope that they are again awarded Tree City USA. I don't know if you have specific questions.
And it's just a designation, it's
It is.
nothing
It
more
is.
than that, right?
It
There's
is.
no money
They send a
attached.
plaque and
Yeah.
different things, and it's just honoring all of the work that they do every
every
year
year.
Yep,
on our trees.
They do a great job and volunteer a lot of
Yeah.
time and
unbelievably generous with time and,
So are we making a motion to accept the application? I will happily do that.
Yes,
And I'll second it.
the proclamation as well.
yep, motion made and seconded to accept the certification and the proclamation for 2024's Tree City USA for Sheffield. All those in favor? Aye. One of the easiest things we do, because we don't do the work. Discussion and action regarding Community Compact Grant and USDA. So I did some work this week, or last week.
Yours is the next one.
Mine is the next one? Oh.
Complete Street.
Well, is this one yours? Thanks.
Yeah. So we have the opportunity to apply for 2 grants, and Renee has offered to work with us and do the lion's share of the work as she has in the past. She's been successful with both grants. So if we take the first one, which is the Community Compact, we are going to ask for funds from the state to convert the software in the tax collector's office, and that will interface with the assessor's office as well. So we have the pricing, and in getting the pricing, we were told that we couldn't get the first year of cloud support and we couldn't get other components. Well, Renee has worked her magic and been on the phone today and is going to apply for both. So she's found us another almost $10,000 to apply for with this grant. So what we're looking for tonight is for the board to approve that application and the letter of support to go along with that. Did you have?
If I may, very quickly. Since I picked this up last week, I've found out a number of things. What we don't have the cost for right now, but we're in the process of getting, is if there's any soft write conversion costs, because Vadar will not touch the software until the data is exported. So I'm working with Nicole on that to try and do that. So this is due on February 6th.
You mean Monique?
What?
Monique?
Oh, excuse me, Monique.
Okay, I just wanted to make, you said Nicole, I just wanted to make sure we were in the right office.
Too many Nicoles, no, it's been too much time with them. Monique, thank you. So we don't know that cost. I would like to include that in the grant. Why should we pay for it? We also, I haven't had a chance to see what potentially John Shannon is going to cost. I mean, conversion costs can be $5,000 or $6,000.
Right.
So I picked up some money. I don't want to leave any on the table. So this is due on the 6th, and I think you have a meeting on the 3rd. I'd like to really try and get this grant wrapped up by early next week, and if you have a meeting on next Thursday. So I'm going to ask you not to sign a letter that I'm going to ask you to sign another one for. Okay?
Okay. So you don't want approval tonight, you're going to hold us off?
I'm sorry?
You don't need approval tonight, you want us to wait?
I would ask for the approval I would ask for, I would like approval and give Rhonda the right to, the responsibility to review and potentially sign it for the select board. It makes it easier for you and
Yep.
it can speed it along.
Okay.
But I also think that you can take it one step forward and approve a letter of support to be sent, and they can just take a glance at it once it's completely.
It's going to be a very similar letter. The main thing in this is it asks you, as you always do on these grants, to commit a certain amount of money, and that amount of money would be no more. It may be that that money would be used for something that I can't get them to pay for.
Yep.
Okay? Or it may be just unspecified.
Okay. Okay. So I will accept a motion to approve the work that Renee is doing on the community compact for the conversion of the software in the treasurer's office to also assist with the assessor's piece on it, and the letter of support.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Renee, thank you.
Yes, and did you authorize Rhonda?
I'm authorized on all grants of link authorization.
She's in charge.
And the USDA.
So we also have the opportunity to apply for a USDA grant, which we've been successful with before in the rescue car, several police cruisers. So we are looking at the possibility of purchasing a backhoe for the highway department, and we could get up to 55%. Renee is also working on this one. We just received the updated quote from the highway today. Now, this is something that they probably won't know if they're going to have funding until July, and it could be as late as August or September before we get the award. But I think it's important to at least try.
Okay. So we'll make a motion to apply for the USDA grant for a backhoe for the highway department.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I love it when somebody else pays for 55% of a piece of equipment. Okay, item number 6, this is mine, complete streets. We're looking at applying for a complete streets grant to address many of the citizens' concerns regarding traffic speeds on our roadways. So we're looking at, Eric Munson met with the board the other day, and he's going to be looking at speed signs, portable speed signs that will track the number of cars and how fast they're going, to provide information to his department as to what times of day these speeding infractions are occurring, so that the police department can actually target those areas of concern, because we've been hearing a lot at the select board level about concerns about speeding. So I forwarded that information. I did some research on complete streets last week and forwarded it to Rhonda and Eric, and I think that grant application is due by February 2nd. So I think Eric is pulling together some numbers, and we'll be moving forward on that. Do you want us to vote to
apply?
To apply?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to apply for the complete street grant for traffic control.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Request for photos for the annual report cover. This is the time of year when we're looking for all those photographers out there to submit their photographs to us. And Lee has the cutest one here on his phone. 2 beagles. So please.
Chasing cows?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually.
Chasing cows. So please submit any photographs that you have to the town administrator's office. You can do that through email or drop it off in person. We will make a decision on that probably sometime in February as to which will be our report covers. This is one of the joyful parts of our job.
Always very nice to look at the beautiful pictures from Sheffield that people
It's
put
amazing.
in.
It's amazing the photographers we have in town.
But it's not always pleasant to choose.
You know, it's
Because
hard.
it's usually very difficult to
Yeah,
choose.
they're all good. Item number 8 is an update on the highway garage. Rhonda, would you like to bring us up to date on this?
I do. So I just want to let residents know that the project is moving forward. We have a meeting tomorrow with the designer and the project manager, and we're hoping to look at a 25% design on the renovation of the business park building that we purchased. So there will be more to be heard on that soon.
It's moving slower than molasses in January, but it's moving. Okay, item number 9, update on town administrator's position. The board just wanted to let people know that the advertisement is out until January 30th. As of today, we have received 5 applications, and we'll continue to hope for more to come in, and the board will start the review process and perhaps be able to schedule some interviews for mid to late February. Board member items. Lee?
I went to a Department of Transportation meet and greet this afternoon in Lenox, and it was interesting in that a number of issues were addressed that I think impact our area of the country, or of the state significantly, and they are trying to put together as much funding as possible to address the bridge issue within Berkshire County and the western half of Massachusetts, and should be signing a funding bill for the Department of Transportation tomorrow, and we should have a deeper understanding of that. They've also been concerned, like us, about the safety on the roads, both of texting and distracted driving, as well as, of course, people driving under the influence, and are looking at programs to try to support towns working more effectively at preventing that. And lastly, the Registry of Motor Vehicle just wanted to remind everyone that our driver's licenses, if you're going to use them as your identification for traveling on an airport or in an airplane, even on a domestic plane, need to be smart cards, and the timing for that is filling up pretty quickly in terms of slots. But I believe it's August that is the final date for having that if you don't have a passport. So hopefully everyone in Sheffield can get themselves up to the
Code on
middle
your
of
Magic
Pittsburgh
driver's
to make
license.
that happen. But they are accepting appointments and filling up pretty quickly.
Great. Bob?
I'm good.
You're good? Thank you, and I don't have anything either this evening. Town administrator items?
I have one. So I received a call today from Maya about the MMA annual meeting and whether Selectman Batala had been authorized to be the delegate and then give him the authority to vote at the annual meeting. So I thought we should
careful.
do that.
I'd be glad to make a motion that Selectman Butala be able to vote at the MMA annual meeting on behalf of the town of Sheffield.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for
Abstain.
going. Public comment. Anybody want to talk to us tonight?
Mixed martial arts, MMA, mixed martial arts.
That's what somebody else said too. If only it was that excited.
Massachusetts Municipal Association. Thank you, Barb. We always use our acronyms, and we should not. We keep trying to do better at that, but it just flows off our tongues. Anybody else? Catherine?
I don't have a question. I just want to relate something that happened today, which I think reinforces what Chief Munson must be up to, because I'm one of the ones that's complaining about the speeding and the optional stop signs. This evening, earlier today, I was trying to pull out of the road that the marketplace is on. And I'm sitting there because the lights are flashing, somebody's crossing the street, a lady driving south stops, a person in a pickup truck decides to pull to the right onto the snowbank to pass the lady who stopped, and damn near hit the pedestrian. He got stuck in the snowbank. I hope he's still there.
Serves him right. Anyone else? Thank you for coming. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you come to the microphone and identify yourself, please? Catherine Miller was just there.
Heidi Schusterman, and I live on Ewan Street. And I have a question about the care of the trees, and I'd like to better understand the responsibilities of Sheffield to plant trees, maintain them, and manage them in order to have this proclamation and certification valid. Does Tom Ingersoll do all the work to?
Tom Ingersoll pretty much does all of the work. He
Along with the rest of the members of the
Yeah.
Sheffield Tree.
Yeah, along with the other members of the Sheffield Tree Project is what it's called.
May I ask you, who are the members?
I don't have the answer to that question.
And we have gentlemen.
Want to go up the podium and address yourself and tell them? Should I sit down?
Ooh, careful, don't trip.
Michael King. Sheffield Tree Project. It's been around for about 20 years now, and the original intention was to replant the urban landscape, or the public landscape, in the center and alongside Sheffield roads. To that end, we have planted over 150 trees, and what has happened is that as those trees have flourished, which they all have, they've flourished mightily, and the big thing that's shown up is pruning them properly for both their architecture and their structural strength, and trying to ensure that as they reach maturity, they will continue to be architecturally sound and not be a liability. That work is all done on a volunteer basis. And there are 2 times each and every year where the members gather together to either plant trees and or prune them, and then remulch them and try to maintain them so that, again, they do not turn into a nuisance. But in terms of dealing with the entire town, it's kind of it's a year-by-year situation. And I don't know whether I'm answering your questions sufficiently, but we can do that later.
I can probably address the town end of it. I can address some of the town's responsibilities. Last year, the town added, I think it was $30,000 to our budget to help maintain trees in our area of responsibility. Now, that is a drop in the bucket for what is necessary. We're a very tree-laden community, which is the beauty of Sheffield, but it's also a burden. So I know that we quite often work closely with National Grid when they're dealing with tree trimming in and around the lines. They were just on Salisbury Road about 2 weeks ago, doing quite a haircut as well as on Berkshire School Road. And we will continue to fund tree management for our highway department and when we have to hire out. But I can tell you that $30,000 doesn't even cover one day's worth of work with a professional tree person.
If I may, who do you have assessing which trees are nuisance and to what degree they are a nuisance?
Well, sometimes that falls on our highway department, and we often will reach out to a tree specialist if there's something in question. A dead tree is usually pretty obvious, and that's usually what's brought to our attention, is something that's in severe decay.
So I'm unclear at what point does it fall from the highway department to having a consultant look at a tree?
Rhonda, can you give me some input on that, if they feel that it's beyond their scope?
Yes, a lot of times he will have National Grid, their tree crew, come down and take a look to determine if the tree is something that they will handle, if it's something that the town will handle. They'll also give him an assessment on the condition of the tree. Other times, they've used one of the tree companies to come down and take a look, and maybe it's just some of the branches that have to go, maybe it's the whole tree. Those are the things.
It's kind of on a case-by-case basis. It really is dependent upon
Understood.
what the situation is with the tree. Does it need a real doctor, or can one who plays one on TV handle it? It's kind of the way we're handling it. Yes, ma'am?
Does the Sheffield Tree Project have any input to National Grid as to the frequency
No.
of pruning, whether they're
No.
on a 5-year?
No, the Sheffield Tree Project is not associated with the town. It's a private group of individuals who care about trees and planting trees.
And we don't really have any great impact on National Grid other than building a good relationship with them
Right.
so that they can work in partnership with us. Because obviously, if they can do work that impacts them that we need to do, it comes at a savings to us.
Catherine?
Well, I think National Grid deals primarily with trees that are impinging upon lines.
Yes.
I think Michael's group is something far broader than that, and that there are many, many trees in town that aren't necessarily involved or impacting lines.
Right.
And they're trying to deal with, as he calls it, architecture, which is how the tree is actually trimmed
Yep.
to ensure its good health. I don't know how many arborists National Grid has in its crew, but I think the gang that works on the tree project have got arborists who know which can be pruned and which can't, et cetera. So they're kind of two different, unrelated, they're related to the extent they're.
Correct.
Trees, but they're not doing the same thing.
They're not.
That is actually a very important point that Catherine's making, because there are certified arborists associated with the Sheffield Tree Project. And they can be, if asked nicely, become available to do assessments when called upon. And we're talking about the level of education amongst these people that it's not only about architecture, but it's also about insect infestation and the potential jeopardy that they create. And what state various trees might be in as a result of being jeopardized by insect infestations.
Thank you for your help this evening. Renee?
I just have a brief comment. I think everybody knows this, but just in case there's a few people that don't, trees that are on private land are the responsibility of private landowners, just like their garage and their driveway and their roof. The trees that we're talking about, that $30,000, which was the first time last year ever, is really to address trees on the town's right-of-way, and that can vary by street. So the town does not have responsibility for trees that are on private property. The Sheffield Tree Project has done an incredible job, and they mostly plant on either, they have planted at some town facilities like the library, but they also, my understanding is, generally plant on private property. So there's a difference between private and public, and that's really important to keep in mind.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Renee. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick thing.
The tree...
Your name and your address, that's okay.
Chris Kelly. As you were pointing out, we have many, many beautiful trees. And that's something that we appreciate, but it takes on new meaning when you think about climate change, in particular after the fire we just experienced locally, and the Great Barrington Fire. I'm concerned about who is taking care of the vines and the trees that are falling that cause issues should we continue to have dry, hot weather. Is there anyone in the town or the officials of the town connected to looking at climate or to bringing together various, like the Highway Department, the Department of Conservation, the tree people, to look at these issues in a cooperative way that might help us investigate and avoid issues that are clearly coming our way with climate change?
Well, I can tell you that no, we don't have any formal organization having that conversation, and I appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and we certainly can have a discussion on that and see if it's something that the board is interested in moving forward with.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pat, I saw your hand up too.
Sorry. A totally different topic. Pat Levine, 261 East Main Street. I noticed in the minutes of the board some months ago, the admission that we couldn't get electric vehicles because there are no electric charging stations. Renee and I tried, Renee certainly tried, and had a tremendous opportunity for EV charging stations. Is there any possibility of the rebirth of interest in that and moving ahead again?
Not at this time, but we certainly can add it to our thought process. Anyone else? Okay, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.